we do not see such a negative dynamic among the relationship among the three parties. On the contrary, we think having more constructive, stable relationship between China and the US creates a larger, more predictable global geopolitical and geo-economic environment for everybody. Yeah, and if we can work together, to calm down the conflicts, and it works to everybody's interest, because we have shared interest with the European Union on restoring peace to Iran. That's for sure. Yeah, and keeping Hormuz open. That's our joint interest with the EU. So we hope this summit can also contribute to addressing our common interests. And on the trade side, actually, we would very much want to work with the EU, as both sides are under the pressure of unilateral tariffs and protectionist measures. However, the EU's perception of China on the trade side has been very negative, and they have lots of narratives about China, like overcapacity, industrial overcapacity in China, and the trade transfers. The EU is worried about Chinese goods, not being able to go to the US and then ending up in the European Union. The EU has lots of worries about this relationship, but actually, I think for most of these worries, it's not. We do not feel, they are such, they have reached such a serious extent, like the trade transfer. For the goods that indeed China-US trade has decreased significantly since 2018 or 2019. But at the same time, our exports to the EU has not, significantly risen that much. A lot of our trade is still going on with the Southeast Asian nations. The 10 Southeast Asian nations are China's largest trading partner. Yeah. And also our trade with Africa, with Latin America, has grown significantly. So I think the EU really needs to see its economic and trade relationship with China from a more positive perspective, and work together with China to have genuine dialogue. So nowadays it's very difficult to have genuine dialogue because they are just voicing their concerns and trying to put in place restrictive measures like tariff measures, anti-tariff subsidies, investigations into Chinese companies, and trying to adopt legislations restricting Chinese companies. So they are doing a lot of these things, and they are going down further along this path. So we are worried about the downward negative trend in China-EU economic and trade partnership. But we will still try to have constructive dialogue with the EU. And we also need a stable relationship with the EU at the same time. The implementation of our 15th five-year plan creates lots of good opportunities for China's cooperation with Bulgaria. And we are glad that the new government, more prominent government, is put in place. And we look forward to engaging with the new government to discuss our mutual priorities and to take forward our mutually beneficial trade and investment relationship as much as we can.